Danette in Hinesville, Georgia. Hey, Danette, thanks for listening to Sirius Satellite Radio. What's up?
Sure. Hi, Tom. Yeah, I was actually just trying to get clarity, and I think your guest clarified the issues with the IRS. I realize that it's not really a scandal, but something that's not really been addressed in the media at least, and maybe not even in the hearings that they're having, is the fact that, like in your news report that was just played in between the show, is that a lot of things are not, the Republicans are stalling on nearly everything to, in an effort for President Obama to fail. And part of the problem with the IRS is that they're understaffed and they have an influx of applications. What I'm wondering is if the targeting that was being done wasn't necessarily malicious, but really they were just trying to do their jobs in determining whether or not they had filed the right status or whether they were even supposed to, the whole process, the whole point of submitting an application to the IRS for 501 status, whether it's 501c4 or C3 or 27 or whatever the numbers are that they use for, tax
for nonprofit status.
Yeah, for nonprofit status, there's a process that you go through for a reason, because not just anybody can be not considered a nonprofit organization. So isn't the issue and the bigger scandal, like you've been talking about, that corporations are now people and anybody can pretty much do this and pretend like they're some sort of social program when they're really not? What they really are is the political arm of the right wing or the left wing or whatever, whoever's doing it, it shouldn't be done. And I think that's what I was trying to get clarification on.
Yes, I'm totally with you, Danette. And I mentioned this a couple days ago. Louise and I in 1978 started a community for abused kids in New Hampshire. It's still there. SalemChildren'sVillage.org and HuntersSchool.org are the websites if you're looking for a good charity. And as a nonprofit, you can make a tax-deductible contribution to them. And these, I think that, and I personally wrote the IRS application, or helped write the application. I had some friends who helped, so there were a couple of us who put this thing together. But I was involved in the process of writing this application and wrote much of the language myself. And I can tell you, that, we were and are, continue to be, a genuine social welfare organization. We're 501c3. We're actually just, there's no politics involved at all in any way, under any circumstances. No lobbying, no running TV ads, no nothing. I mean, it's just caring for, kids who are either severely abused or have really severe learning disabilities, autism, Asperger's, ADHD. And so that still took us a year to get our approval. But once you submit your application to the IRS, you can begin operating as a nonprofit and take tax-deductible contributions immediately, and while you're waiting for the IRS to approve it. And typically they do approve it. And so I don't think that there's much evidence that any of these Tea Party groups were harmed. Other than just they slowed down a little bit. And the code, the law, it's 501, Section 501 of the tax law, and that C4 paragraph specifies that the organization must be exclusively social welfare. And the IRS has interpreted that law in their regulations to say primarily, and thus Karl Rove interpreted the word primarily to be 51% social welfare. So he says, okay, 51% of what we talk about is, high-minded constitutional principles that we call education, and 51% and 49% of what we do is attack ads against politicians. And therefore nobody can know who gave us hundreds of millions of dollars, and not only that, they're tax exempt. And the other thing about tax exempt organizations, Danette, is that you and I are subsidizing them. I mean, we're all subsidizing the entire country, and in some tiny way is subsidizing everything from that children's village up in New Hampshire to the church down the street. Any nonprofit organization that is exempt from federal taxation is typically also exempt from things like local property taxes. And so we're paying for their fire, we're paying for their police protection. We're paying for their share of the commons. And I have a real problem with paying for Karl Rove's share of the commons, or for that matter, for President Obama having a PAC and paying for his share of the commons. I mean, it's just although his PAC is much, or the one affiliated with his campaign is much smaller than what Karl Rove has got. I just don't think there should be any of them. I think that we should be looking at the IRS code. It says very clearly, social welfare organizations, these are things like where I'm broadcasting from. I'm broadcasting right now from Goddard College. It's a nonprofit organization. It's tax-exempt nonprofit organization. That's what the tax code, when they wrote this tax code back in the day, they envisioned. And nobody envisioned Karl Rove, but when Citizens United came down the road and the 9 monarchs in our new constitutional monarchy on the Supreme Court decided that they were going to invent a law that didn't exist, and a doctrine that didn't exist, that money is not property, it is speech. When they did that, when they said that, yes, there was this sudden explosion of applications. John Dean on our program a little earlier said it was over 70,000 of them from groups saying to the IRS, "Hey, I want to get in on this action, and have the people support me and all this kind of thing." And the worker bees at the IRS were overwhelmed because the Republicans in Congress would not increase their budget, would not let them hire new people. In fact, sequestration, they're cutting back. And so they said, okay, how do we figure out which groups are, schools, colleges, communities for abused kids, hospitals, homeless shelters, and how do we figure out which groups might be not social welfare organizations? Well, if their name is Tea Party Patriot, they might not be a social welfare organization. And they were getting thousands of applications for Tea Party Patriot groups because the Koch brothers and Dick Armey, they're funding this stuff like crazy all over the country. And so I'm with you, Jeanette. I think that the worker bees at the IRS were simply trying to look for a way to deal with an unusually high workload. And apparently they only did it for a few months, where they were flagging words like Tea Party and Patriot. And so then people say, well, why didn't they flag liberal groups? Liberal groups tend to have names like the Wilderness Society, or Feed the Elderly Incorporated, or Meals on Wheels. And I think those are typically social welfare groups. So, Jeanette, thank you for the call. I think you're absolutely right. I think there's no there. This is not a scandal.